If you have to demand respect, then you don't have it because respect does not respond to volume. It responds to strength. Welcome to the Elite 360 podcast. I am your host, Anthony Waite, and it's so good to be with you for another episode as we talk about life, leadership, and leaving a legacy, one that you will one day be proud of. In today's episode, what I want to share with you comes from the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. And in this book, they have what's called the law of respect. And we have to understand that respect goes both ways. In order to receive respect, you must first give respect. You must first respect people in order for them to reciprocate that. But what we see today is a lot of leaders who demand respect. They command respect. And what I want you to understand is that respect cannot be commanded, it cannot be negotiated, and it cannot be faked. According to the law of respect, people naturally follow leaders who are stronger than themselves. This strength isn't ego, it's character, it's competence, it's your ability to be consistent in your actions and your words. And I would say, even being congruent between your actions and your words. What you say matches what you do, and most importantly, the standard in which you hold. Over the next couple of minutes, I want to share with you, and we're going to discuss why demanding respect in leadership is a warning sign, what actually creates respect, and how a 360 leader earns it daily. So before we do that, I want to share with you, why do leaders lose respect? And this is from experience in my own journey after 21 years in the military, after leading people as a person and professionally as a coach, speaker, and trainer. What I have found is that leaders lose respect whenever they have to demand it. And when we demand respect, it's because we feel weak. When you have to force somebody to respect you for what you do and who you are, that's a sign of weakness, not strength. And weakness shows up as inconsistency, emotional reactivity, avoidance of hard conversations, and leading from a position instead of an example. And I want you to take a look at these four that I just shared: inconsistency, emotional reactivity, avoidance of hard conversations, and leading from position instead of by example. And ask yourself, which one do I lean on when I'm trying to influence the outcome, when I'm trying to demand or command respect from those that I lead and those that I love? You see, when leaders lose strength, they start demanding compliance. That's not leadership. That's insecurity. And when we have to demand that somebody follows our lead, when we have to demand that people listen to us, chances are they are witnessing an incongruency and inconsistency in how we operate. And in their mind, they're questioning our intentions. They're questioning our agendas. And so understand that your actions speak louder than your words. And so the more you are consistent, the more you are congruent, the less you have to demand or command respect, the more it naturally flows. Because when you value people, the people start to value your leadership. And then most importantly, they start to value what you have to say. And shortly after that, they start following what you do. And so you have to start looking at yourself and taking accountability, but also becoming aware of where in my life am I demanding and commanding respect, and where does it flow naturally? So point number one, I want to share with you this: people don't follow leaders because they have to. They follow leaders because they want to. And you want to be that leader that people follow because they desire, not because they are demanded to follow. I always use this analogy when I'm speaking to people in uniform in the military. I share with them, you want to be that leader when you're walking through the commissary or you're walking through the exchange, and somebody that you lead sees you and they come up to you, they run up to you and they say thank you, and they want to introduce their families to you. They want to share your leadership with those that they love. The opposite of this is seeing somebody that you lead, and instead of running to you, they run from you. They're trying to duck and hide and get away from you. They don't want to stop and talk to you. They don't want to approach you or conversate with you. They don't want to have an interaction with you. And I'm sure that you probably have seen those type of leaders, or you've probably been that person who, when you see a leader outside of the workspace, instead of going up to them and talking to them or introducing your kids to them, you try to avoid them. You don't want to have an interaction because you already know how it's going to go. And so I want you to use that test for yourself and ask yourself, if I was to see those that I lead, those that I'm in charge of outside of the workspace, would they run to me and say hi and go out of their way to recognize me in public? or they try to avoid me, or they try to look the other way and go the other way in hopes that they don't have to interact with me. Because you see, strength shows up as emotional discipline. When you're able to control the situation or circumstance, and most importantly, control your emotions. Remember, your strength as a leader is to be calm in times of chaos. Some of the best people that I've worked with, especially in the medical field, when times of chaos ensued, when somebody was coding, when things didn't go as planned, they were the most calm, cool, and collective. And having friends and having worked next to people in the special operations community, one thing that you will notice about these individuals is that they're very calm, cool, and collective. They have a sense of calmness about them, and they approach each situation with a sense of confidence. And I would say a calm confidence, knowing that their strength and their superpower is to control the situation and circumstance and not let their emotions control them. And I've noticed that over the years working with these kind of individuals, and it's been something that I try to absorb and use myself when leading people. When you're a confident leader, you have the ability to remain calm and have that emotional regulation. Insecure leaders, however, are usually the ones that lose their cool and their emotions take over. They are reactive instead of proactive. And so when we look at this strength, it shows up as emotional discipline. The other thing, and the other way that it shows up, is by having clear standards. This is how you operate. This is how you show up on a consistent basis. This is how you have a standard for yourself, and it naturally gravitates to those that you lead, and they start raising their standards, and they start holding the standard within the department, within the group, within the command that you lead. And you have to be able to put your standards on display every single day, and refuse to deviate from them, no matter the situation or circumstance. So my question to you is, do you have a standard? Do you hold a standard? And most importantly, do you hold yourself to a standard? And where have you been deviating from the standard in which you held for yourself? Having a standard lets people know what you will and what you will not tolerate. And as a leader, we don't get what we want. Things don't always go our way, but we will always get what we were willing to tolerate. And when you have a standard and an expectation for yourself that is held in the highest regards, people understand that. They know that, they feel that, and naturally they gravitate towards you, and they lift themselves up because they want to be around you and they want to raise their standard. And so it's a contagious effect that when a leader has clear standards and they are confident in how they operate, people will naturally raise their standard as well. The other thing that strength shows up as, and the other way that it shows up as, is by your ability to make decisions. You see, when you have standards and you have a core value and you have virtues that you put those core values on display, what you're able to do now is make decisions from those core values. But most people are very hesitant to make decisions. And if they make them at all, they usually change the decision. They're indecisive. And when you're in a situation that requires you to step up and lead, that's the difference between a leader and a manager. A manager is just maintaining what's happening. A leader makes the decisions that drive the team forward, that move it in a different direction, that sparks transformation. But the only way that you're going to make true change is by making decisions. You have to make these decisions from your core values, and most importantly, have those virtues or those habits that put those values on display. For example, if you say that you value people, but yet you go into the office guns a-blazing and you're looking for the first person to blame on why things aren't the way they're supposed to be, then your core value of valuing people is not really being put on display. Now, if you take the time as a leader and your core value is valuing people, and you go and take time out of your day to go see how everybody's doing, you have a real conversation. It's not superficial. It's not, hey, how's your day? It's, hey, how's the weekend going? How's the family? Is there anything I can do for you? And you say it in a tonality, in a meaningful way that people can feel, then they understand that your intentions are pure. But how many leaders do you know go into a space, they go into a workspace, they go into a meeting, they go into a conversation, and it's very superficial and it's kind of a formality. Hey, how you doing? Have a good day. Good to see you. And it's like, do you really know who I am? Do you really know what I'm about? It was once said that, if you don't know me, you can't lead me. And if you don't know your people, it's going to be very hard to lead them. It's going to be very hard to make decisions when it comes time to lead. And so understand that a manager maintains, but a leader makes decisions. And the way that you make you're very decisive and you make good decisions is by understanding what your core values are and having the virtues or the habits that are aligned with those core values. The other way that your strength shows up is by personal competence. It's one thing to be confident, but it's another thing to be competent. That means that you are aiming to be the best at what you do, but you're also confident to take action in spite of the fear of failure, in spite of understanding that some things aren't going to go as planned. But the only way to build competence is to continue to try. And when you are competent in your area of focus, in your area of leadership, that confidence comes as a byproduct. And it's vice versa. It's like a figure eight, if you will. The more confidence I have to take action, the more confidence I have to lead, the more confidence that I grow and that I take on, and the more confidence that I'm able to exude to the people that I lead. And so you understand that your confidence has to come with time. It's not something that comes overnight. And that's why it's so important to identify your skills, your gifts, your talents and ability, and double down on those. And then identify your weaknesses and work on those in the process. But so many people today will try something for a week, a month, maybe even a year, and they fail at it, or they don't get to where they think they should be, and then they quit and they go pursue something else, and then they go to something else. You never really build the competence to lead. And for a long time, I felt like, I lacked the competence with leadership until I started realizing that I've been doing this for over 20 years, 21 years, more than half my life. And when I started looking at that, I started realizing it wasn't a matter of learning more or getting more information. It was a matter of reflecting back on the lessons that I've learned. I'm going back and looking at the good, the bad, the ugly, and extracting the experience from that. And then I realized that I'm at a certain level of competence. Now, that being said, I still have the confidence to understand that I don't know a lot of stuff and I'm still in the process of learning, and that's okay. But I can still share and lead from my level of competence. But in order to continue to level up and to go to that next level, to lead at the level that I'm at right now, it's going to take for me to have the confidence to step into those roles, to understand and identify my strengths and my weaknesses, and continue to compound my learning and my growth on those those strengths and weaknesses. And the same thing goes for you. So never be afraid to try, never be afraid to step into leadership, and always understand your resources, understand the people that are around you that are there to help and to lift you to where you want to go. And never be afraid. Always have the confidence to ask for help. That is another thing that builds confidence very quickly, is when you're able to ask for help. But if you pretend to know it all, that's not a strength. That's actually a weakness. Okay. The last one is strength shows up as moral courage. This is doing the right thing, even when it may hurt you, or even when it might not be all shiny and great. Having the moral courage to do what's right in spite of the downfall or the backlash that you might get. Remember that sometimes leadership is a lonely ship, and you're going to have to make decisions that not everybody's going to agree with, but that's okay. Your job as a leader is not to make everybody happy. That's what clowns do. You're a leader, so you have to act as such. And I have made decisions that other people did not agree with, but I knew in my heart that it was the right thing to do. And although I got looks from people for making these decisions, I gained the respect of the masses because I stood up for what I believed in. And most importantly, I stood up for the people that I was entrusted to lead and to serve. And so, although people might not agree with what you are deciding to do or what you know is right, as long as you believe in your heart and you are aligned with your core values and you have a standard, make those decisions, have the moral courage to say what's right and to stand up for your people. And you will see that your respect goes through the roof because you did what you knew in your heart was right. How many people do you know have failed to act on that moral courage, to do what they knew was right because they wanted to make people happy, because they wanted to gain the validation of the masses, or they wanted to gain the validation of a few. And as a result, they lost respect because they just did what everybody else does. You see, leadership is really easy. It's very easy to stand out in today's world because we have so many leaders that lack competence, they lack confidence, they don't have the moral courage to stand up for their people. If you just do that, the respect that you gain will be exponential. I promise you. So understand this: respect follows the strongest signal in the room, and strength is built. It's not born. It's not something that we're all created with. We must build it through climbing this mountain called life and enduring the success and the failures and learning from both and continuing to move forward. Remember, failure is not final until you quit. And also understand this, that demanding respect is proof the strength isn't there yet. So if you find yourself having to go into a room, to go into a meeting, to go into the office and demand respect, then you're not quite there yet. But don't give up. Keep going. Find ways to become the person who is respected, not because of what's on your chest, but because of what's in it. That was something a Master Chief told me many years ago. He said, you want to be known not for what's on your chest, the medals and the devices and all the shiny stuff. He said, you want to be known and respected for what's in your chest, your heart. Where is your heart? Is it set on service or is it set on being selfish? And when you are create your ability to serve, you increase your ability to serve people and to be of service, you start understanding that you create significance. And as you become significant in the lives of those you lead and those you love, success is the byproduct. But many people today want to be successful. That's great. Make more money, make more materialistic things. But what happens when that's all taken away? Because at the end of our life, we're going to reflect back and we're going to look at, did I make a difference? Did I make a change in the world? Did I have this transformational leadership? And that is created through becoming and cultivating the significance in the lives of those you lead and those you love, that their life is better because you were in it, that you played a small part in their transformation. And that's one of the best achievements that you can have as a leader. And for me, that's what really drives my motivation today, is when somebody from a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, say, sir, because of that conversation I had with you 5 years ago, I'm where I'm at today. You changed my life. That is more important to me than any degree, any achievement, any medal, any promotion. That right there, because it solidifies and it validates that you are that change agent. You are that person who is creating true transformation. Because of me, their life will never be the same for the better, right? Don't ever be that person whose life is worse because you were in it. Be that person whose life is better because you have played a part, a small role in their life. Now, the second point I want you to understand is that nice leaders don't feel strong. You see, Maxwell says this. He doesn't say people follow the nicest leader. They follow the strongest. And strength comes from doing the hard things. It comes from having the difficult conversations. And remember that being nice is one thing, but if you're being nice and you're telling people what they want to hear, then you're not truly leading. Sometimes leadership comes off a little abrasive. It comes off a little harsh, but that tough love is exactly what some people need. They need to be grounded in reality. And sometimes you need to speak and tell them what's real, but most importantly, always tell the truth. Remember, the truth hurts, but the truth also heals. And I've been in many conversations early in my career where I was the nice guy. I just wanted to say things to make people feel good. But I failed them as a leader because I needed to tell them what they needed to hear, not what they wanted to hear. And as a result, I failed them because I didn't tell them the truth. I wasn't real with them. And what I've learned over the years is I've got to where I am because people told me the harsh truth. You're not as good as you think you are. You have a lot of work to do. There's a lot of flaws in you that you need to fix before you forge a better future. And I'm so glad that I had those people in my life, because at that moment it stung, it hurt, but that truth also healed me, and it allowed me to see that it's not about being perfect. I got to be in progression, and it's going to continue to be that way for the end of time. And so understand that there's a way to be nice, but there's also a way to speak truth and to be real. And that's what people need more importantly and more now than ever before. It's the accountability piece. We need to hold people accountable. Most importantly, we need to hold ourselves accountable. And we need leaders that hold themselves accountable, because how dare you try to give a command that you have yet to follow? How dare you give a command that you are not willing to follow? But we see this today more than ever before because there's no accountability. So remember, the truth hurts, but the truth also heals. Strength includes holding the line, enforcing standards, and most importantly, saying what needs to be said. So don't be afraid to have those difficult conversations with people that you lead and those you love, but most importantly, with yourself. Take a hard look in the mirror and make sure that you are grounded in reality, that you're being real with yourself so that you can be relevant to the people that you lead. You see, nice leaders want approval, but strong leaders earn respect. And so don't chase the validation or the approval. It will come as a byproduct of your ability to be truthful and to be real with those you lead. One thing I want to share with you too, and you can write this down. If your team doesn't respect you, check your standard, not your tone. Okay. What does this mean? If you fail to get respect from those that you lead, don't increase the tone. You don't have to be louder, right? You don't have to speak louder. You don't have to yell. Check your standard. Check how you're operating. Let your actions speak louder than your words. Look at yourself and ask yourself this simple question. Am I giving a command that I am willing to follow? And am I giving a command that I have already followed? Am I telling people to do what I have already done? Am I proof? Do I have the track record and the results from the thing that I'm telling them to do? It's like telling somebody that they need to go to college, but yet you don't have your education. It's like people in the military, they're telling people they need to pass their PRT and they need to score an excellent or above, but yet they're failing their PRT and they're out of standards. It's this do as I say, not as I do leadership. And so don't check your tone, check your standard. Are you living up to the expectations that you're putting on others? And are they able to rise to the expectations that you're putting for them? Not everybody's cut out to be a leader, and not everybody is able to meet the expectations that you put on them. So understand and check your expectations as well. Point number 3, understand that your presence is your strength. Respect is felt before it's spoken. People can feel your vibe. They can feel your leadership. They can feel your authenticity. They can feel your heart. They can feel what you stand for. They can feel who you are as a leader. They can feel where your heart is. Remember that calm beats chaos, stillness beats noise, and composure beats control. So calm beats chaos. This goes back to what I said before. Your ability to stay level-headed and calm in times of chaos naturally calms everybody around you. I remember going into a code many years ago, and we had a lot of first-year residents on the cardiothoracic floor, and they were losing their mind. They didn't know which way to go, what thing to do. And I was a brand new nurse at this hospital in San Diego, and we responded to the code. And there was a nurse that has been a nurse for, I think it was like 30 years. And she was there to assist. And I was running the code. I started chest compressions and I started, bagging the patient. And as I stepped back and let the corpsman take over, I started to manage everything. And I told her, get the medicine from the crash cart. And in this time of chaos and her inability to remain calm, she ran to the Pyxis machine. And now the Pyxis machine is where all of our medicine's located. It's centrally located on the unit. And she ran all the way to this room, not realizing that the crash cart was right outside the room and it had all the medication that we needed. So what did that do? It started to waste time. And again, this lady has been a nurse for 30 years, like 3 times the amount. I mean, I'm a nurse for 2 years at this moment, and she's been 3 times a nurse that I have been, and in the medical field, way longer than me. But her inability to remain calm made her reactive, and she went and did something that was totally out of line and could have been really bad. Now, luckily, we had a surgeon that was on board, a cardiothoracic surgeon who was on board. And when he walked into the room, his presence was felt. He stood back. He started telling us, here, do this. Hey, hook up this, do that, check this. And the tonality, the sense of calmness, his presence naturally calmed the room down. And everybody felt like, we're okay. Everything's going to be fine. But change that to now the room is everybody's throwing stuff around. Nobody knows what's going on. We can't identify roles and responsibilities. Guess who suffers? Not the team, the patient. And in some of these situations, people have literally died because of those kind of things. Now take that and apply it to your roles and responsibilities. It may not be as detrimental as somebody passing away, but it could mean the difference between somebody thriving and somebody just barely making it. It could mean the difference between promoting somebody and losing one of your best employees. You have to start looking at, in times of chaos, do I have the confidence and the competence to remain calm? And as a result, calm the situation and circumstance. Nothing is worth losing a relationship and breaking that trust with your people, especially losing your cool and becoming that person who raises their voice and breaks down people. And as a result, the team becomes broken. Now, stillness beats noise. There was a saying when I was with the Marine Corps, fast is smooth, smooth is slow. And what it's saying is to slow down, to not rush and make mistakes, because You'll spend more time fixing those mistakes than if you just slow it down. And remember that fast is smooth, smooth is slow. So what does that mean? Understand the end result that you're after and then reverse engineer it to what do I need to do now? And if you know what the end result is, then you can start taking the action right away, calmly, cool, and effectively by becoming calm and still and understanding that fast is smooth, smooth is slow. And take this and apply it to, let's say, an interaction that you have with somebody that you're leading. And you know the end result is to have them take action and do the thing that you want to be done so that we can produce a result. Do you think it's better to tear them down, break them down, make them feel less than, and expect them to perform at their best? Or is it better to be calm, cool, and collective and help them understand what it is that we want to achieve as a team? Notice I said we want to achieve, not what do I want, but what do we need as a team, and empower them and help them understand their role of how they what part they play in moving the team forward. You see, there's a difference with how you approach it. But if you just go in there guns a blazing, the end result is probably going to be chaos, and the end result is probably going to be that person not respecting you, but also not respecting the team and losing their trust in their leaders. But if I know at the end result is I want them to move, I want them to take action, then the beginning should be how can I empower them? How can I push them forward, not push them down? And the same thing goes with any interaction that you have. If you know at the end of that conversation or that interaction, I don't want to be left with regret that I would have, should have, could have, then I know that my approach should be not so much noise, but stillness, calmness, coolness, and effectiveness. Fast is smooth, smooth is slow. I have had many a times where I went into a conversation hot-headed, pissed off, and as a result, I said things that I regretted. I said things that I didn't mean. And although I was able to do that, at the end of it, I felt horrible and I felt so bad because I knew that that's not what I wanted the outcome to be. So now I realize that if I know what the outcome is and I know what I want it to be, then my approach to that should lead me in that direction. But how many leaders do you know as a reactive approach go into a conversation, go into a meeting, guns a blazing, demanding respect, telling you what you are and what you're not going to do. And as a result, you might get it done, but there's a lot of resentment. And most importantly, there's a lack of respect. And so understand that stillness beats noise. And on top of that, composure beats control. So going back to that analogy, keeping your composure and understanding that, yes, you are in charge. Yes, you are the boss, but you don't have to remind people. If you have to remind people and constantly remind people who you are and how much control you have, then you're not doing your job. Your actions aren't speaking louder than your words. If I have to go in there and tell you who I am and remind people that I'm the leader, then chances are I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing my job effectively or efficiently. So there's one for you to start analyzing as well. Am I keeping my composure, or am I constantly reminding people that I'm in control? Because when you lose control of your emotions, when you lose control of yourself, you lose control of your people. And most importantly, your life becomes out of control. Remember, strong leaders don't feel silence with insecurity. They let presence do the talking. So just like that surgeon that came in when we were in the middle of a code, his calmness, his presence was felt. And as a result, everybody else calmed down and relaxed and was like, okay, we're okay. We're going to be okay. And the same thing goes for you. When you walk into a room, when you walk into a conversation, when you know that things are chaotic and you bring a sense of calmness to the playing field, as a result, everybody relaxes. Everybody takes a deep breath, and now we're able to start moving forward in the right direction. But the more and more you challenge that, the more and more you fight it, the more and more you try to control and raise the tonality, the more and more you risk losing control and, most importantly, losing respect. John Maxwell has this quote that I really love. He says, when people sense inner strength, they lean in. But when they sense insecurity, they pull away. Remember, that sixth sense in leadership is your ability to show up and be present, calm, cool, and collective. That's how you earn respect. That's how respect is given without being forced. When people can feel your integrity, when they can feel your ability to show up and be present, when they feel that you don't have an agenda, that you are congruent with what you say and what you do, naturally they lean in. They want to help. They want to be part of this. They want to do what's best for everybody. But the insecure leaders will come in And people can feel that as well. And they will pull away. They will do what you say, but they will be resentful as a result. And most importantly, they will lack respect. So as we bring this thing in for a landing, I want to share with you some ways on how you can start building respect. I know we talked about a lot when it comes to respect. At the end of the day, respect is earned, it's not given. And in order to receive it, you must first give it. Remember, leaders go first. Now, understand that the moment you demand respect is the moment that you start signaling your weaknesses. Now, number one is you got to stop demanding respect. You don't need to tell people and demand that people respect you. In the military, for example, we have a rank that's on our chest. People can respect me and they will respect me for the rank because there's a hierarchy, there's a chain of command. I want to be the person that people respect, not for the rank that's on my chest, but what's in my chest, who I am as a person, not my title, position, or authority. I want them to respect me for who I am, not what I do. And the same thing goes for you. Understand that you want to aim to be that person that people respect because of who you are, because you care, because of where your heart is, not because of your position. That's a given. Like if you're in charge of people and you have the titles and the letters behind your name, then yeah, they're going to respect that because they have to. But they want to respect the person you are. That means that they want to respect you. They don't have to respect the person, but they do have to respect the position. Be the person that people respect because of who you are. Now, number two is you got to build strength daily. This is a personal level. Remember, if you don't respect yourself, it's going to be very hard for people to respect you. So how are you showing respect to yourself? According to the law of respect, this means sharpening your competence. Strive to be the best at what you do and everything that you do. Your roles and responsibilities don't take lightly. Sharpen your competence in all areas of life, your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health, your relational health. And you start looking at when I start building myself into this 360 leader, when I'm sharpening my competence in my physical and spiritual health, my mental health follows suit. And if those three are in alignment, then guess what? My relational quadrant, it follows suit as well. So start looking at sharpening your competence in all areas of your life. Now, the next way is you got to strengthen your character. Start asking yourself, who am I becoming? Not what do I need to do, but who do I need to be before I go to this meeting, before I go into this interaction, before I step into this conversation. Who do I need to be? Most importantly, who do they need me to be? And when you look at that, that's the character, that's your foundation. Do I have a standard that's backed by core values, that's in alignment with my virtues, my habits, my behaviors, my beliefs? And when you have all these in alignment, then the decisions you make are for the betterment of your people, not for yourself. And people can feel this. They know that your heart is pure and that your intentions are true. The next one is build strength daily by controlling your emotions. I have never seen somebody who said, I am an emotional unicorn. I'm an emotional butterfly. It's usually I'm an emotional wreck, isn't it? Because your emotions will take you for a ride and they will continue to take you for a ride until you control them. Failure to control them, they're going to drive you off a cliff. And that's how you become an emotional wreck. And so you have to control your emotions. Emotions are basically energy in motion. It's your energy, it's your vibe, it's what you bring to the table. And if your life is chaotic, you have to slow down and ask yourself, how can I start calming myself and finding this calm, this stillness inside this chaos? What's causing this chaos and what's controlling my emotions? And why can't I get control of these emotions? If somebody can make you feel a certain type of way, right? If somebody can make you happy, sad, glad, or mad, then you've been had. You can't continue to give your power away to other people. Who cares what people think? Who cares what people say? Who cares what people do? That's none of your business. What you can control is how you show up. And if you are having a hard time controlling your emotions right now, you have to ask the question, well, why is that? And one way that I'm able to do this, and again, I'm a work in progress, is I use the physical health piece of my life to help control my emotions. When I do the hard things, when I go for a long run, when I go to the gym and sweat it out, when I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, when I'm reading my Bible and I'm learning and building my spiritual strength, all those things are proof. Those are vote for who I'm becoming. So that when life throws me a curveball, I'm able to handle it better and understand that I don't fall back to my default settings anymore. I fall back to the level of training that I have. So that's why it's important to read good books, leadership and development, reading spiritual texts, so that it helps you build that spiritual strength to build your faith. Because when you build your faith, you minimize your fear. You can't live with both. It's either one or the other. So which one are you entertaining? And so as you continue to build yourself from the inside out, your emotional regulation becomes better. Your emotional intelligence becomes better. But when you're always constantly taking the easy route and you know it, and you know that you could be doing more, but you fail to do so, that's whenever we fall into this trap of losing our emotional control. Now, the last one is enforcing your standards. You have to have a standard for your life in which you operate and enforce those and stand by those every single day and refuse to deviate from the standard. When you hold yourself to a standard, only then can you receive respect from other people. Again, holding a standard shows people that I respect myself and that I have respect. Therefore, I can give respect. And if I don't respect myself, it's very hard for somebody else to respect me. And it's very hard for me to expect for somebody to respect me when I don't even respect myself. So you have to start enforcing your standard. And if you don't have one, then start looking at your life and asking yourself, what standard am I setting for myself? But most importantly, for those I lead and those I love. And when you do this, then you create the values and the virtues that align and back up those standards. Now, the last step number 3, let time and consistency do the work. Again, we talk about the competence and the confidence, but understand that all this comes together over time. It's not going to happen overnight. Just because you listen to this podcast and just because you go to work and you show up in a different way tomorrow doesn't mean that people are going to automatically respect you. Remember, respect is the compound interest of discipline. It's being consistent every single day, and understand that over time, things will begin to shift. The fastest way to earn respect, the fastest way to start having people respect you is, number 1, respect yourself, and number 2, respect other people. Change your approach to the situation and the circumstance. Have a vision for what the outcome is that you want before you go into that meeting. Any interaction that you have, understand what the outcome is that you're trying to have, the desired outcome, and then approach it from that angle so that you have a better shot of achieving that desired outcome. At the end of the day, none of us want a chaotic outcome. We don't want to make things worse than they already are. We want to make things better. Most importantly, make people better. So understand that time and consistency are the catalyst to earning respect. Now, in the Elite 360 method, if you will, and this is what I share with my coaching clients, there's 4 quadrants that we really look at, and it's character, consistency, competence, and courage. And when you look at your life, understand that there's 4 signals that command respect. These are like your strength signals, if you will. And when you look at character, this is who you are under pressure, right? It's easy to be good and do good when things are going your way. But who are you when things get out of control, when things don't go under your way, or whenever you're placed under pressure? Remember, if there's cracks in your foundation, which is this character, right? Character is the foundation of all leadership, and most importantly, the foundation of who you are. If there's cracks in your character, when life applies pressure, you really begin to see who you are. Circumstances don't make a man, they merely reveal him to himself. That's from James Allen, As a Man Thinketh. And so your character is who you are under pressure. Your consistency is, are you living the same standard every single day? Are you consistent with your actions, your habits, the way you show up, your beliefs and your behaviors? Are you consistent on a day-to-day basis? Or do people have to guess who they're going to get today? I've seen so many leaders who show up and one day they're happy and one day everything's good. The next day they're a totally different person. And that is chaos. It's hell following that type of leader. And so who are you? Are you consistent on a day-to-day basis where your people know they can come to you no matter what? You're having a bad day, they can come to you. You're having a great day, they can come to you. They don't have to tiptoe or walk on eggshells around you, but you are consistent. You have the same standard every single day. The next one is your competence. Are you mastering your craft? What roles and responsibilities do you have in life? And are you aiming to be a master, to obtain mastery in these areas? This is the time piece, right? You have to put in the reps to get the results. And then when you get the results, you earn the respect. So don't shortcut any of that. Repetitions equal results, results equal respect. But most people today, don't want to put in the reps. They just want to get all the way to the respect part. They don't want to get the results. They just want to get the respect. And it doesn't work that way. Repetition equals results, results equal respect. And so your competence is aiming to become a master of your craft. Stop tiptoeing and dipping your feet in different areas. Find out what you love to do and go all in on it. For me, as I'm a nurse by trade in the military, all my friends, all critical care background, everybody went to, CRNA, nurse anesthetist. A lot of people stayed in the ICU. A lot of people went to emergency care and trauma, and all those things were great. But I knew that I was good at it and I liked to do it, but I didn't love it. It didn't give me a balance to do other things that I love to do. And so I went into the education and training piece. And I've been doing this for many, many years, but I've become really good at it. And I found that I love it. I love the delivery piece. I love training people. I love the education. And it's opened up so many doors for me to impact so many lives. But had I would have followed the masses, I would never get to do what I get to do today. And so you have to remember that it's okay to follow the masses. Just understand that sometimes the M is silent. And you have to find what you love and become a master at it. So good that they can't ignore you. So good that people reach out to you and you're the go-to person. When they think of leadership, they think of Commander Waite. When they think of speaking and coaching and training and transformation and personal development, they think of Commander Waite. When they think of education and training and policies and procedures and curriculum review, they think of Lieutenant Commander Waite. And so you have to find what it is that you love to do, double down on that and become so good that when people ask, hey, do you know that person? Oh, yeah, he or she is the one that does this. And so understand that competence piece is so important, because when you have the competence, then you build the fourth, which is courage. This is your willingness to do the hard things, regardless of how you feel. The courage to cultivate the discipline so that you don't have to live by default settings. So what drives me to do what I do is because I love doing the hard things. I've learned to appreciate the hard work, because that is a sign that I'm growing and that I'm learning and that I'm moving forward in the direction of my purpose. So where are you failing and looking to circumvent the hard work? Where are you trying to steer away from the hard and stay with the easy? And so character, consistency, competence, and courage, those are the four strength signals that help you to receive this respect. So my message to you as we wrap this up is, if you've been demanding respect, don't quit, get stronger. Understand that if you're demanding respect, your people are not looking at you as a strong leader. They're looking at you as a weak and incompetent one. So I challenge you to identify one area where your leadership is weak. Maybe you're demanding respect. You have to speak louder instead of do more. And then build it this week. And stop talking about respect, start earning it. Remember, your actions have to speak louder than your words. Because if you're going to become a 360 leader, which we talk about here, we don't demand respect. We become the kind of leader that earns respect and that people want to respect. And most importantly, that people want to follow. So I hope this served you. And if it did, please share this with somebody you lead or somebody you love. And if you're looking to level up your leadership, click the link below and download the free resources that I've created for you to kickstart your leadership journey so that you can live a legacy, one that you will one day be proud of. I'll see you on the next episode.